All right, and welcome to the Casual Nerdcast. Joining me for tonight, as usual, Andrew.
Happy Batman Day.
That is today. And Amel
Now with 100% more hipster.
and Evan.
Brap brap.
That's all you got?
That's copyrighted.
I'm so tired.
Brap brap.
Had like 3 of these today.
Oh God. All right. So, all right. To kind of just start off the podcast, we're gonna show you an article that all of us are probably pretty happy about. PC dominates gaming hardware sales.
Hashtag PC Master Race.
I thought PC was dead.
All
Yeah,
right.
when did that happen?
So in this recent article, I actually quoted from IGN, but there are other sources that also have seen this. The study has found that the PC gaming market is worth $21.5 billion US, which is about twice the size of its competitor in the console industry. And they're saying that most of these sales take into account personal computers, accessories, upgrades, and other such form of hardware. And they say it's being driven by both casual gamers moving to mobile platforms and by more hardcore gamers who desire gaming experiences not available through console technology. All right, guys. So what do you guys think of this news?
So sorry, just to clarify, is this a so PC game? More money has been spent on PC gaming than console gaming. Just is that the
Well,
idea here?
the market itself is worth $21.5 billion. So I guess there's a lot of I'm not
Okay.
so I'm not make it like take it as you will, but in my words, it's like saying that people think that not many people go into PC gaming, that it's a niche market, but this is saying otherwise. This is saying that they should be respected as much as console gamers are. So, if not even more so.
Well, one thing I just want to point out about this study, which is kind of the first thing that came to my mind when I read this, is so PC gaming does technically have a bigger, market because you can spend more on PC gaming. Period. Right? For console gaming, you can buy every system, 4 controllers for each system, and I guess a nice TV. But the TV doesn't even go towards gaming, right?
Right.
But I can easily drop that same amount of money on a decent computer.
Right.
Right? Like if I were to buy a PS4, Xbox One, and a Wii U, I guess I'd be at around like $1,200. Some around there.
This is talking about just hardware, I think. Also, for anyone listening, and it also mentioned casual gamers moving to mobile platforms. Are they counting like phones as well? I guess then.
That also seems a little unfair.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think
So
it's
what would be a casual gamer moving to a mobile platform then?
Maybe a laptop?
maybe.
I don't see
I
casual
think
gamers moving to laptops.
I think what they're trying to say is that the gaming market is moving to 2 different places. Casuals who basically don't really need a console, they're just moving to the mobile market and the phones and
That makes
stuff.
sense.
And then there's the other people who aren't satisfied with the console technology, go to their own means and build a PC, use that. So I think if anything, this article says that there's a trend that's starting to happen, that now there's like a divide between casuals who just stay mobile and then hardcore gamers who are now just starting to desire more from their technology, and now they're starting to take matters in their own hands and build PCs. I think that's more so what this is saying. I know a lot of people have been misreading this article saying, "Oh, PC Master Race, so we're better than everybody." But at the same time, it's like there's a bit of the hardware itself, my GPU is honestly worth 2 consoles. Like-
Yeah, that's what I was saying,
By
right?
itself, yeah.
Yeah.
You can easily go out and buy all the systems for the cost of one console, right? Which is just it kind of off balances everything
Yeah.
a little bit.
But
So
yeah.
I mean, arguably, you could almost see that you're getting a much better bang for your buck when you buy a console, then, right? If I mean, there's definitely, it's not a definitive argument, but
Yeah, I mean, there's always there's a lot of side factors to that too, because what people tend to discount is that when you have a console, you still need a computer, which is why like the argument for getting a console is if you're just using your console, you better be just using your console and better not need a laptop later on in your life, because if you do, then that additional cost could have went to build to like say like getting like a gaming rig of some kind.
well,
I
that
know,
I
when
mean,
I bought my PlayStation 3, I used it for internet browsing too.
Nice.
That terrible. I tried using it one time. It's ridiculous.
But I think that's also maybe because there's definitely a market of people who, because if there's one thing that consoles can do better than PCs, period. There's nothing anybody can argue against this, is the pick up and play aspect of a console, right? I get a game, I buy a game,
Absolutely.
I put it in a thing, maybe get a little bit of an update when the game comes out, and it plays. Period. No questions asked. While with a PC, you have to do a little bit of finagling here and there. You maybe have to set some settings and stuff. It's not necessarily as easy. So there's definitely a market where they want something that's just easily pick up and play, turn it on, play their games, and they might just want a laptop like they might just want like a crazy small ultrabook or something, like a really portable workstation that they can take around with them, but it's never going to have any gaming potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe. I also read an article talking about the PS4 and the Xbox. I was about to call it 720. The Xbox One sales for like this month, and it was just talking about how the sales have been gone up. But also when you compared them to, like, it's been about a year since the PS4 and Xbox One have come out. And if you compare that to the first year of the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, 2005 to 2006, and I think 2007 to 2008, like that, those sales are up about 14-18%. So I think it's more just more people are playing video games, which is good for us. Like, that's great news.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's more just, it's less like people moving to one thing. It's just more people are playing video games.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Oh, what about you? What do you think, Emil, about the situation?
I do agree the trend is slightly shifting, but it is there still remains to be completely ran out of words there. There is still a long time to go, considering consoles are very much pick up and play. If you give someone who is primarily a console player a computer with a controller connected, tell them to go play a fighting game, it's the same. But even something like learning keyboard controls from one game to the next, such as Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat on the PC, they're still different, and it's not exactly pick up and play anymore at that point. So I think there's still a few factors like that lead into adoption. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, were you gonna say something? Someone was gonna say something. I heard something.
There also definitely is. I think there is somewhat of a shift. But this is kind of a weird idea where before, like I'm talking before as in like 10 years ago, the big games that everybody was playing were, Call of Duty, Halo. Those were the big popular games that everybody played. Right now it's turning into League of Legends and Dota, which are very much games that almost any PC can play, right? Like, I mean, Dota is definitely a little bit on the heavier side than League of Legends, but anybody can pretty much pick up and go on a laptop, download, install them, and play them. So I think that's also where a good amount of this PC shift is coming from, is in these hugely popular online games, because that idea has more so shifted from consoles in the past 5 years, I'd say.
Free to play used to be a joke. Now it's thanks to like League of Legends and Dota. Like people don't throw up when they hear free to play now.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag still. I mean,
But it's the fact that it's a mixed bag, that there's positives in there. Before it was just all negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything was terrible.
It was the realm of like mobile games only, and a few very, very badly designed PC games. That was it.
Speaking of mobile games, that I think we should segue to the next section of basically some actually pretty cool news. We basically recently, I believe it was yesterday, Nvidia released details regarding the Nvidia Shield. And
Shield tablet, rather.
Shield tablet, and they basically rebranded it as a Shield tablet. I mean, it used to be like a little screen with a controller.
This big.
Yeah, it was a really.
Have they said that they're not releasing that console thing anymore, like the handheld?
I'm not
Are they
sure.
shifting completely to a tablet?
As far as I'm aware, they've actually rebranded the version that you're calling it the Shield Portable.
Right.
Everything else is like, so basically you get the tablet for like $300 and the wireless controller for like $60, which I guess is reasonable ish.
Because I know that the Shield, like the portable, I guess now that it's called, you could get. I mean, so it was $300, but it was pretty much $200 because anytime you bought an Nvidia graphics card, you would get a $100 coupon towards the Shield, right? So, and you can only use it with a Nvidia graphics card, so pretty much $200, right? Everybody who wanted one had the coupon, so.
Yeah, I believe the Nvidia Shield, or the Shield Portable, sorry now, is actually... Oh, yeah, I'm just going to put that on right now. The Portable, I think there's a newer version of the Portable now that is now going for $200.
Cool.
So I guess that might be their new price that they're putting it at.
Because I watched a couple videos. Hardware Canucks had a preview video for the new Shield tablet.
Right.
And it looks like Nvidia really made it with a tablet first, right? Like the tablet idea was first. Of they wanted to make this a tablet that can also stream your games and also output 1080p onto a nearby TV.
Just look at the spec sheet and the software. It's running full Android. It even has like built-in Google connectivity and everything, along with like you know the dock and a decent touchscreen. It literally looks like what a regular tablet should be, but with a console class processor. That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, and especially for that price point, like that's getting into Nexus. That's getting into Nexus areas, right? Like, it's definitely a tablet. If so, by the time I want another tablet, if they have a new version, this is definitely something I'll take a look at, right?
This looks like something that could work standalone just fine, even without the tablet.
Oh, you're chopping up there.
If you're not into games. I'm sorry.
You became a robot.
Oh, am I back?
Robot. Yes.
Okay, well, just cut off the last 10 seconds. It has the potential to be used as a regular tablet too. Like you said, it's in Nexus territory, price range wise, and it's absolutely fantastic. So even if you don't game, you don't want a controller. If it is what it is. Wow.
And it's not a cheap tablet either. As far not cheap, not like cheap in the sense that like the pricing cheap, like the material and whatever's in there. If I'm correct, it's like a Tiger K1, which is like their latest mobile GPU, which I believe is
console class.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, which is why
They I remember at the conference yesterday, wherever they showed it, they actually showed Half-Life 2 and Portal 2 being played on the tablet, like not being streamed. Like they had Android versions of those games running on the tablet, right? That's really cool.
The website has it playing. I don't know if this is streamed.
Titanfall.
Titanfall, yeah.
That's probably streaming.
Yeah, that's probably streamed. That's
fair enough, because this is still an ARM processor at the end of the day. It's not exactly Intel-based or anything yet.
And that would mean they'd have to make Titanfall for Android, which is...
Yeah.
So I guess my question to you is, where do you guys see this in the future? Where do you think this has the potential of being, I guess you can call it? I guess because it's definitely interesting to see this technology emerging. It's definitely breaking new ground. We've definitely never seen anything like of the sort so far. The Tiger K1 is definitely a mobile GPU that we've never seen before, and it's fascinating. As Evan mentioned, it's playing Half-Life 2 and Portal 2. So are we seeing, I guess, a new kind of future of mobile gaming? Do you think this has a place? Do you think it'll replace anything? What do you guys think?
I don't think it's replacing anything as much as it's a new entry to the field. Because, hold on, are we including the PSP, the PS Vita in mobile gaming, or is that a class of its own?
I think we have to. Like that is mobile gaming.
In that case, then it has the opportunity to either replace one of those, or at the very least place its own. Because now it's cross-compatible with PC software. I'm assuming that was Steam streaming.
Well, actually, Nvidia has their own technology called Game Stream. Which basically allows you, as long as you have a 700 class card, I believe it is,
gotcha.
you can stream from within your local network. And actually, also, if both have an internet connection, you can stream it over. I don't know the logistics quite yet. I was watching the GPU conference that Nvidia had back in March, just getting the logistics roughly about Grid, which is like a paid service where you can stream your games to any mobile platform. So yeah, I'm interested to seeing what you guys think is going to happen. Like, is this going to be something that'll end up, taking over, like the 3DS and Vita and all the mobile platform stuff, or do you think each have their own kind of unique characteristics that it's like a fine divide?
I don't know. I haven't looked at 3DS sales recently, but I assume last I heard they're still pretty good. The Vita sales are pretty low, especially compared to the Vita's successful. I think they sold like 10-15 million copies, I think, but the PSP was wildly successful. It was like 70. They sold like 75 million units. The Vita will never sell that. And because of smartphones, mobile gaming, I think what people want from mobile gaming on a mass market scale has sort of changed. I think that mobile game, like hardcore mobile gaming, is sort of become a more niche market. And I don't know, like this thing, it seems like a lot of the big functionality of this thing is when you're on a local network. But if you're on a local network, you could just do everything like at home. Like you could play your PC games on your PC instead of streaming it to your Shield.
See, that's actually where I think that this thing is going to very, very much do well. Is so the Vita and the PS4 have a similar feature to this.
Yeah.
Right, where the Vita can stream your PS4 content over LAN. And I actually found this incredibly useful. So one of the situations where I use it, I don't use it in my room because, I live in a room. My bed's over there. I'll just come over to my computer and play, or my PS4 and play. But in the case where, so when I got my wisdom teeth out, I was over at my girlfriend's house on their couch acting like the sick guy that I was. And when I was sick like that, They wanted to watch a couple movies, and I wanted to play my PS4 because I got that was the weekend the PS4 came out, and I was really excited to play it. So instead of stopping them from watching their movie, I just kind of went, okay, cool, like I'll play on my Vita, and you can still watch your movie fine, right? And that was really useful. Like I still got to do what I wanted, they got to do what they wanted, and that's awesome, right? Yeah. Or for example, another good way of that is, if the room needs to be dark for any reason, right? Like, somebody's, for example, my bed's right there. If somebody's sleeping over there or something, I can reduce the light in the room by playing on my Vita instead of having this bright TV on, right? So I think that this is something that's incredibly useful for gamers with a family type thing.
Yeah, but how many families have like their big PC in the bedroom? Or how often are you going to have your wisdom teeth peeled out?
Well, it's not even necessarily...
Like the movie thing makes sense to me. Like someone using the big TV, like a lot of families only have one. But how, like, I don't really see people being like, I need to use the computer for like.
Well, it's not even so. Another good example of this is just say you're a dad who has a bunch of kids, right? And your kid has a play date and they have friends over it, and you need to be watching the kids, but you don't really need to be watching the kids, right? You can stream this, right? Like there's applications in that regard. I feel like we're not the market for this. That's the problem.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying though. Like the fact that we're not the market and we are like that $21.5 billion market. Like this is a niche within a niche. Like this is like hardcore gamers within all of gamers, and then hardcore gamers with families.
Not quite. The difference between this and say something like Vita is that this is actually able to stream your games. Well, eventually, this is the foreseeable future over like data. So basically, you would basically be able to say, for instance, you left off somewhere on like Skyrim or something. You wanted to finish a quest. This would let you finish that quest on like a train or something. Like this is basically this isn't even just like high performance gaming wherever you want. This is your computer wherever you want. I think that's like the big major differentiation between like say something like the PS4 Vita streaming versus this. And the one thing I do hope to see maybe is some kind of integration with like maybe to your TV. Because the thing is, I originally thought that maybe the Steam box could be even smaller, similar to like a Chromecast kind of thing, except like for gaming and stuff. And that way, that could be the future of consoles. Is that now instead of buying boxes, you actually buy like small dongles that you can just like stream over. So I don't know. It's the idea of Nvidia's Shield and like its capability of streaming has a lot more than people tend to think. I mean, like at first glance, this is like the first generation of its technology. So that's currently its applications are limited, but if anything, it advances on the first Nvidia Shield, which is just a small, tiny screen. Now you got something like I think it's a 1920 by 1200. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. So now you're working with a much bigger screen, and you have control of how far you want the controller from your tablet. So that's interesting. It is definitely an upgrade from the first Shield, but you kind of lose the portability of it, which is why they still keep the portable version of said Shield. So I'm more interested to seeing where the future of game streaming is leading, and I think Nvidia is going to be leading the way for it. They seem to be really focused on that right now, more so than most companies. I mean, like Valve's kind of alluded to it. Sony's really just stuck with the PS4 between the PS4 and the Vita. I think they're trying to boost their Vita sales more so than they are focusing on game sales. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm gonna stay out of this one.
I don't know. Yeah, I just think I don't know. I just feel like I'm not the market for this. I have the stuff that I want.
Kind of.
Sure.
I don't know. To me, this is interesting. I mean, the Nvidia Shield was definitely a very, very niche product. This, I feel like they're trying to expand a little bit more by making it a useful tablet in and of itself.
Yeah,
right?
it's a $300 even without the gaming. It's a $300 tablet.
So to me, this if I ever decide I want a new tablet, this might be a legitimate option. Just be like, hey, cool, this is a good tablet, and it also might save my ass when I want to play a game, or like at some point in my life, right? Like, why not? This really interests me. I think that this kind of technology is definitely cool and should be.
I agree with that, but for other reasons. You know how you mentioned by the time you're ready to buy a tablet again? That time for me is basically now. Yes. I've never bought a tablet yet. I keep putting it off. I was like, oh, new Nexus 7. Okay, next Nexus 7, or whatever. This is it. The added bonus for gaming on the go is nice, but that's not the purpose I'd want a tablet for. And then, by itself, hardware specs versus price, it is out there. So that would be my reason for buying it. So that's what I meant by I'm not the right audience for the gaming crowd.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh my god, I just realized something.
But it is well worth the money.
I just started reading the description of this tablet. You can literally plug this into your TV.
Yeah.
And it will. I need this. I need this.
You can play with 4 Shield controllers too.
Yeah, so you could hook up a multiplayer PC game to your big TV in the living room.
This is literally a console.
Yep.
Yeah. What this and the Steam Machine are trying to do is they're trying to. Because right now, all gamers generally have their PC like in the den or their bedroom or whatever, and you kind of sit in your room and play on your PC whenever you want to actually play games.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to change your network in your house so that your PC now sits in a closet somewhere, basically as a server for whenever you want to play games. So
Right.
your PC in a closet somewhere does all the work, and you get to still sit like out in your living room, out in your like with the rest of the people in the house, and play your overall. And
Still
play your
attempting
games,
to
right?
socialize, but not really.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing that really just excites me about this as well that Emil just mentioned is that you can hook up 4 controllers, right? So this, I mean, we've all tried it before, you know, playing a 4-player game on your on your keyboard where some person's got the arrows, the other person's got WASD, and then you also need like, I don't know, KM, like it doesn't work, right? So this can.
That was a big thing in like the 90s with like Flash games.
It's true, but I mean, it still happens today with certain games like Towerfall Ascension. Like a lot of these couch games that are coming out now, you still run into that issue. So this kind of alleviates that by making your PC a couch co-op machine, right?
It's funny. I just imagine like PC Master Race and in this movie in my head, it's flipped and now they're slaves in the closet just working, and the shields are like their overlords like whipping them like, you work harder, stupid PC, and they're just like Harry Potter in a closet somewhere. I'm sorry. Anyways.
I just realized that this is totally the product for me, and I need this.
How quickly things change.
I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited. I think it's going to just keep on getting better and better and better.
So we
Right.
hope.
Hopefully, yeah. Like I said, it's only good when more people are playing games and through different ways. So, well, I don't really see the purpose for my life. Like, I'm happy that it's out there, and I want it to succeed.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Cool.
So actually, speaking about streaming and such, let's look at the opposition. Well, not really the opposition, more so like competition. Valve's still at it with the Steam Box, and they've actually just released what appears to be a new spec sheet or like a new button layout of the new Steam controller. And I'm actually just showing that right now. So for our viewers who have never seen previous versions of the Steam controller, here's an image of it. And here's another variation of it. And I mean, for the most part, I think the Steam controller is meant to be open source so that it's, you can kind of play around with it. Game developers have an idea of like, oh, maybe we can modify the controller to make it, do something cool for our specific game. But I mean, like the Steam Box has been pushed back. We're still hearing news about it here and there. At the most part, they're not exactly at console competitive pricing. I remember the Alienware Steam Box, I believe, is going for $1,000.
Something like that. It's
Well,
ridiculous.
that's also Alienware, right?
So yeah, on the topic of this new Steam controller, do you guys still care about the Steam Box at this point?
I remember there's so much news about it. They're like, we've got 14 different boxes coming out, and it was such a big deal. And
they unveiled all those boxes at CES in January. Yeah.
That's how you dilute the market, man.
Valve went in guns a-blazing, and then all of a sudden it just kind of quiet.
In typical Valve fashion.
I think this is again the situation where we're just not the market for this. I mean, I already have a PC. I have no intention of ever not building my own PC.
Fair enough.
I just don't care. I think this is for the people who want the console experience but want PC grade graphics. Or PC games in general, right?
Right. Because it does include exclusives that are not available on consoles. Whatever's on Steam, basically.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to see like news still trickling out, but
that's the odd part. We don't.
Yeah, it's
there should be more, even if we're not the core audience. Stuff travels, and we haven't seen anything.
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong.
Because
that's the thing I'm a little more perplexed. Like, it seems almost like Valve doesn't even care about this thing anymore. Like,
that's why I said in typical Valve fashion.
Yeah, I mean they have the Steam OS beta that's out. They have the people who got the Steam Box initially back in like November. Some of them have Titans on them. Some of them have 780 Ti's in them. Some of them have 770s. It's it was like
All over the
free
place.
Christmas presents, and then all of a sudden, you get nothing. As far as I'm aware, the only progression they've made on the Steam OS is actually not exactly directly related to the Steam OS, but rather one of my friends was he had a second computer hooked up to his TV, and he had the in-home streaming functionality. So he was playing around with that, and he actually told me he was able to equip the Explorer.exe onto it. So that's basically like the most like important exe file within Windows for running UI and stuff. He was able to basically take everything on his computer and stream it rather than just the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. But I mean, besides that though, like, I don't know, do you guys still care about the Steam Box? Do you think it's still going to be a thing? Do you think it's kind of just died down now and Valve has lost their momentum?
I feel if they have any more announcements to make, which they probably do, because it's still a ways away, it might pick momentum up again. But it's too early to tell because Valve does this stuff. Like it's not like this is something new, Thoughts,
Yeah.
and then a year later.
Wait, Valve isn't working on the Steam Box? Half-Life 3 confirmed.
If you take all the letters and you change them into numbers and you take the roots of those and you divide that, you get 3.
If
That's
you
how-
divide it by the number that you get and then multiply by 3,
You get 3.
then
Shit.
oh my god, Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Oh my god.
That's
Still-
given time.
That's still up. And I think we'll wrap this up with our final discussion. Actually, it's actually funny. This is actually going to help us as an organization. We were just talking about how to kind of create a unified review format, and I think it's interesting to discuss video game reviews. So, what do you guys think about the current state of video game reviews? Is it something that you guys still, I guess, intentionally try to read? Do you guys even read video game reviews? What matters to you most when you read a video game review? Anyone want to start?
For me, I honestly don't really read them anymore. If I do look at them, I'm a culprit of pretty much scrolling to the end, looking at the number, and going, okay, cool. The things that I find that I end up getting most of the information out of are I don't know if you guys go to Giant Bomb, but they have a quick look thing where they just kind of play a game for like half an hour to an hour, and they talk about it, and they just sit and talk about it. Or I find I get better ideas out of podcasts like Rebel FM, just people sitting and talking about a game. I feel like I get more out of that than reading edited text. That's me personally, though. I also was a big fan of the One Up Show way back when, which is kind of I have a feeling that kind of kickstarted all that stuff, where it was just people sitting talking about games, right? And there's just something a little bit more genuine about it, which I like a lot.
So you would rather basically someone just,
Right.
I guess, play through the first 15 minutes of it and just kind of get your opinions on it and that kind of stuff?
Well, just more so, I don't know. I like to hear people talk about a game, right? Because when you have a review, it's edited. It's to me, it's not genuine. I don't know if that's a good way of explaining it, right? But when it's
Well, I mean, there's a difference between reviews that are biased and reviews that are, I guess,
well, I'm not necessarily saying that it's biased. I more so just mean when you have a bunch of friends sitting and talking about games, there's a aspect of it that's just kind of they're shooting the shit, right?
Yeah.
And to me that's just there's a little bit more, they might joke about something, they might talk about something in a weird way. There's just a little bit more casualness to it, which gives it that little bit of genuineness. That's such a wrong word for it, but I don't know what else to say.
I see what you're trying to say. So it feels more natural. So basically, what you see is what you get, rather than, a professional outlook, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because I mean, there's an aspect to a conversation between two people where if somebody is talking about a game, laughing about it, telling a bunch of stories, and then they're like, oh yeah, but you know what, in the end it doesn't have the greatest controls, or it doesn't have a there's a part of my mind going, well, you know what, like you're still enjoying it enough to talk about it in this fun, excited way, right? Where if it was just a review that's critiquing the controls, critiquing all that stuff, there's a little bit of subconscious that comes through in conversation, I guess, right?
All right. What do you guys think, Andrew? Emma?
I'm actually the exact opposite. I actually enjoy reading reviews. I go about it very differently than most people. I kind of like going into a game knowing nothing though. So like if it's a game that I love, like an Uncharted game, like I would actually consider myself more of a console PS4 gamer. So if it's on like the new Uncharted or Dragon Age, which I'll play on PC, like I know I'm going to buy those. I sort of black out. I don't really watch trailers. I don't look at like previews. I know it's going to be good, and I'll play it and I'll read the review after. I actually enjoy reading reviews. I think that I don't know. I think it's just cool to read. Yeah, it's a lot less natural, like casual. But I like the sort of. I usually go to my like IGN or Polygon lately for their kind of stuff, and I like the way they write. I guess I don't know.
Those are the two websites I go to if I do look at stuff. But I do find that I still just tend to scroll all the way to the bottom, like read the conclusion and look at the bullet points.
Yeah.
Right. But also I've never been a big guy. I've never been a reader. I don't really enjoy reading. Like the most reading I've done is comic books. Right. So. Just reading's not my thing.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's I guess I'm the balance between you two, because I'll read them when I have absolutely nothing else to do. So to kill my time, I'll go up on Polygon and read a couple. But I find myself watching reviews fairly often. Stuff like Archivist on Machinima, who's like top 5 whatever, or the best few whatever. They're always his personal opinions. And there's a few other YouTubers out there. There's a few review videos on actually Polygon and IGN and stuff. I enjoy watching those over like a light meal or when I'm doing nothing as well. But that's why I'd say I'm in the middle. And they don't faze me as much as they used to. My buying decisions are not based on them anymore.
Yeah.
They're based on like my friends buying them or playing them, or just I like it, I'll buy it on sale or full price.
We've been gaming long enough that we kind of know what we
exactly
want,
yeah
right?
you know it's from this company, you know this company releases a product at this date, and you know it's going to be crap or not, probably. I mean, it's worked that way for EA and Activision for the past 4 years. So no offense to any of their fans out there, but yeah, so anyway, like kind of know even before putting the point, I see reviews as a form of entertainment rather than a form of information for myself. Does that kind of make sense?
No, I definitely agree with that, and that also, I think that might also be a reason why I enjoy the casual conversation or a podcast or something like that, because
Right.
it is definitely to me specifically a little bit more entertaining than reading text, right? Because I can be doing something, like I could be playing, I don't know, WildStar or something while
It's
while
like
listening
watching Linus Tech Tips talk about an item versus XDA talk about the same item. His format is entertaining, but he's giving you the same thing. It's a lot easier to grasp. Obviously, we're talking about phones here and not games at that point, but the concept stays the same.
And
Absolutely.
I would assume like XDA would probably not have a beginner's curve, whereas Linus Tech Tips kind of bring down to like the most like, what's the way, like I guess they, in layman's terms, yeah, they would try to they know they're addressing a wider audience. Sorry, what? Yeah, so basically, like,
it tends to the mainstream audience.
What
you're saying.
Because XDA, as far as I'm aware, is like, you know, hardcore Android developers, you know, talking to other hardcore Android developers.
Pretty much. It's just the first example that came to mind. But
fair enough. But I can see what you're saying. So I'm actually not any of you three at all. The only reason I read reviews is for complete self-validation.
Complete what?
Self-validation. So
You're that guy who's like, what do you mean only 9.5?
yeah, I was.
This is 11.
The best example of this was I was playing Remember Me, a Capcom game which has the concept of you manipulating people's memories, and besides the fact that there were some cheesy naming conventions, story was kind of all right. I had decent fun with it. Some frustrating sequences. I'd give it like a 7 at best. Read all these like other like IGN and like everybody else is like 54, and I'm just like, what is this? I was so mad.
Because they do extremes, right?
Like I got
shit or great.
I got so nervous when I first like got the game, because before I pre-ordered it and it like the payment went through. I'm like, oh great, I'm so excited. What are the reviewers saying? And then I'm just like, what is going on? And then like the funny thing is, what I do is I look at several different kinds of reviews. I actually compare the critic score and the user score for when I look at Metacritic. So I use that a lot. IGN, I expect them to give a bit inflated. I don't know. I'm not trash talking them or anything. I just don't necessarily agree with the scoring convention they have.
Oh, I'll flat out trash pretty much any of those mainstream, because I mean most websites now use pretty much like a 6 to 10 scale, right? It's bullshit. I'll flat out fuck IGN for doing that. But anyways, continue.
Yeah, I actually like what Kotaku does, where they have like a recommend, wait for rental or sale or whatever, and then avoid at all cost. And then they have like a breakdown of that, and that's because what they'll do is they'll bring up points as to why is this what it is and what made it that way. And I mean, like, that's actually what I actually didn't realize Kotaku reviewed video games at first. I was actually kind of surprised when I was reading I believe it was the review for Thief, that I heard that it wasn't as big, as hyped as it was. And I was kind of glad that I read that first. That was the one time I actually decided to not, I was pretty close to buying a game. And then reading the Kotaku review, I was just like, okay, maybe I shouldn't actually buy it yet. I should probably wait for a sale or something. But I mean, in the opposite spectrum, I still buy really bad video games to see why are they so bad. So I guess reviews help me decide to buy games in the most skewed way possible. Both I'm looking for bad and good games.
We don't do the old try before you buy thing anymore, right?
Nope.
We're past that?
I don't. I don't.
No
I
more?
don't.
Good.
I just buy.
Yep.
I just buy good and bad games. I don't buy anything in between.
At least we support our companies, right? That's very important. So
yeah. So actually, that gives moving on to reviews. What do you guys think about rating systems? So like Evan said, basically some people are on like 6 out of 10. Some people actually have the audacity to do 1 out of 10. And sometimes even they do like a star system, so it's just like an out of 5 system. What do you, or maybe even they don't even have a system at all. They just do like buy, don't buy, sale. What is it that you guys personally enjoy the most, or at all?
Clarification here. Sorry, Mac?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure if I'm lagging or not.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Clarification though. Are we talking about reviewers who review games objectively in the sense that this is this game, or are they comparing them to others?
I don't think many reviewers, as far as I'm aware, actually review game to game. I've not seen that format before.
Okay. Reason I asked that is because that would change my answer slightly, but I'll get to that. Andrew first.
Cool. I would say, like, personally, my opinion is that, I would do, if in my perfect world, I would do away with any type of like scoring, and it would just be the text. It would just be the video, the audio. Like, I think so many people, when Evan, when you say you scroll to the bottom, I have no real problem with that because I know who you are, and like I said, we sort of developed our tastes, and we sort of know what we want and what we're gonna buy. But the people who I made the joke earlier, people who just like scroll to the bottom and like rant, like angrily message, like are just terrible people, terrible at being people, basically. Just because they see the score and they don't read the actual like justifications or why someone thought this, because that's what reviews are. They're people's opinions. They're like, this was my experience with it. Do with it with what you will. And if reviews are supposed to help consumers like spend their money more wisely, that should be the best and really the only way. Because even if a game like Remember Me is something, I wouldn't call it a good game. It's like a fun game. I wouldn't necessarily call it great or anything.
It's an interesting game.
It's an interesting game. I would only recommend that to certain people based on what I know.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put I think a score isn't helpful in that case. It's what is helpful is, do you like platforming, like Uncharted kind of platforming? Do you like there's like these interesting puzzles, like it's kind of frustrating, but if you're interested in blah blah blah, this will be not like. I would do away with scores.
Okay.
Just checks. Just
as I mentioned, the reason I asked for that clarification, if you're comparing games, for one, then a rating system makes sense, like a numerical one or a non-IGN non-extremist rating system works if you're comparing games. If you're not, and you're only viewing them objectively, so obviously the good thoughts, the bad thoughts, but generally people such as Evan and sometimes myself do scroll down and we want to see, is it good, is it worth buying? So pros, cons, worth the price. I think that's what would work for me personally, obviously, because you're not comparing it to anything else, you're just saying what you liked about the game and what you disliked about the game. And then if you want to see if you relate to this reviewer as a gamer, you read the rest of the review.
I think what's also interesting to take into consideration, now that I understand what you were asking for clarification more clearly now, is that let's say for instance we have like a teenager, 14, 15 years old, and has an allowance of like say $50-$60, and they had to pick between the latest Call of Duty or Battlefield,
right,
both equally at $60. So and to basically kind of take into consideration what they would get, I think in this case a numerical might make more sense, depending, say, because I mean it's like, this game has great graphics, but this game has great graphics, and it's just like, so what is your great versus what's this great? Like it's
at that point it's a mishmash.
Yeah, that's. I don't know.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, at this stage, I think having numerical has its advantages where it's a lot more clear cut. I think like in like maybe in comparison, like I can see what you're saying. Like if I had to sort between a list of like our top 50 or whatever, numerical makes it a lot easier. But if we were just outlining it, then maybe a numerical is not as helpful.
But again, like even if you wanted to like just numerically quantify two different games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, it doesn't make sense. If this was a scientific experiment, the scientific community would tear it apart, because unless it's the same person reviewing it using the exact same criteria, like it's usually two different people in two different companies with two different entire cultures, so which is why to me like comparing number to number doesn't really make sense to me, or like I don't put a lot of value in that. I put a value in like, this person, I know this editor at this website, he likes JRPGs, so he's gonna, if he says he likes it, then like I'll probably like it as well.
If Games Radar used to do this, I don't know if they still do it, but I remember for a racing game, I forget which one, they would, I think it was one of the Forzas. So they reviewed a racing game and they thought that the racing game wasn't that good, and then at the very end of the review, they also compared it to other games, right? So in their conclusion, they also posted things like, by the way, if you like arcade racers, maybe play Grid. Yeah. If you like fun racers, maybe play Sonic All-Stars, whatever that racing game was, or Mario Kart or something, right? So they brought up other games that if you're they personally thought, the same person who wrote the review, if you are this kind of gamer, you might enjoy this game more than the one I just reviewed.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's just the only problem about that is that's very hard, and it requires the reviewer to have a
Mhm.
broad knowledge of everything, which is not always the case, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the advantage of like a numerical score, like a 1 to 10 scale, is that it boiling something down to that simple makes it really simple for a lot of people.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Because if the consumer is not aware of certain terminology, like what's a platformer, like say for instance, like a parent is buying a game for their child, it's like, what's a platformer? Will my kid like a platformer? And it's certain terminologies, maybe they're not so clear cut. It kind of like, it's basically to the consumer that isn't aware of the industry, but is trying to purchase something for someone that is, a gamer, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It helps because not everyone is as educated in the game industry
Exactly.
as say the four of us, for instance. Like we delve right into it. We have a vast plethora of different
You
game
bought
genres.
like the bureau. You classified.
You
Knowing
bought
full
it.
well what it costs.
And it's on Humble Bundle now, and I could have gotten it for cheaper, but I still bought it for $7.50.
Yeah.
Now I have a question for you guys. Do you guys miss the old magazine style review games where it was you had maybe one or a bunch of people write a small review, maybe like a three or four paragraph review. So it was 3 or 4 different people all reviewing the same game, and at the very end they all gave it a number score. Right, so you kind of got to see 4 different perspectives of it. That's kind of died because magazines came out once a month, so you definitely had the option to do that. But now with websites,
Yeah.
one person goes on an individual game. Do you guys, is that something that
I think
would interest you guys more?
I think the issue with that in particular is you really have to have a strong following with said organization, because if you don't, then you won't know, oh, who's this guy's opinion, or why do I care about his opinion versus another guy's opinion. Like if these guys, or say for instance, like if you follow them long enough, it would be helpful for you in the long run. But like initially, if you saw the review and it's just like, oh, I don't know what your background's like, I don't know, unless they have their bio listing all their favorite genres and such, and you had like a list of their reviews, then you have a common taste, then maybe that might be the reason why that kind of faded, because there's a bit of elaboration as to what character is your not character, sorry, your staff member. What exactly is your favorite staff member? And I think the other issue is that you basically need a diverse gathering of people, and you need to make sure that they are, it doesn't make sense. Oh, you know what? Let's just get a bunch of people who like shooters to play a shooting game. In that sense, like they have to make sure that these people are truly different in personality and different in like genre preference, in order for them to kind of say, this rating system is something that's, diverse and able to kind of provide different perspectives to a game. It is interesting if you do happen to have, like, say for instance, like a podcast like ourselves, and we have a favorite personality, and we all had the opportunity to play a game and we all had different views about it. That could be something that can be pursued, but that's assuming that the fan base has been following for such a long time that they know exactly what said staff member is favoriting.
I don't know. I feel like no matter what, regardless of, you do get an idea of people that you like to read. I think this happens with anybody, right? Not even just including the hardcore gamers like us. I think pretty much, you read somebody's review, and if you disagree with it, you'll probably look at that person and go like, oh, I won't read that person's anymore. Or I think that happens all the time, right? Regardless of, I don't know. I don't think that requires as much of a backlog as you'd think.
Fair enough, but I think the difference nowadays is that for you to kind of grab, like, say for instance, 4 different people in the same organization, with the internet being the most revolutionary thing now, people would rather just, I guess, go to different websites for their different perspectives, rather than, because I find it a bit hard to believe that most people agree on the same thing. I always see that there's always that one person who will not agree with the majority. Everyone will say 8, 9, 9.5 out of 10. The one guy, he's like, it's a 6.5 or a 7 or something.
Everyone will understand that The Last of Us is the greatest game of the last
of Us is a piece of
Evan?
shit. That game.
Fight.
It's perfect. I know where you live.
Last of Us is a piece of shit. I was waiting for that to come up. I'm just like, oh, he's gonna bring it up.
But yeah, like, I think the 4 reviewer thing, like, it works with the magazines, but the thing is, like I sometimes I go to like a newspaper stand and I'm like, they still make these? Oh man, it's crazy. Magazines. That was an interesting time.
Yeah. So okay, so just to kind of wrap things up here, what do you guys see the future of, I guess, reviews? Do you guys see this as like a thing that will be here to stay? Do you think there should be a unified system, or do you think wherever we're going is just system? This is how this is the hand signal for system.
There's a huge difference between what we think and what's going to happen, though. IGN's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I don't necessarily. I think they're performing a necessary service, right? It's just
We're not the core crowd for it.
that's.
Actually, I love IGN.
I do. I very
Talk
much.
about-
They're pretty much like them and Giant Bomb are the only sites that I really go to on a regular basis. I guess, yeah. Do you guys go to any websites on a regular basis? Do you follow a specific, reviewer or something like that?
Reddit.com/r/games. Whatever the hell's on the top.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I frequent. I like different podcasts, and then I'll get to know like the editor that is on those podcasts very often.
I just watch Inside Gaming.
Yeah.
Inside Gaming is really where I go, and then Kotaku and The Verge will basically cover any of the tech news. If I see anything, it's mostly on Twitter feeds. And
Yeah, Twitter's fun too.
That is
yeah, that's usually
Very
where I get.
cool.
It's usually Inside Gaming for the satire, and then The Verge and Kotaku for the serious stuff. But I mean, yeah, it's interesting to see that we all don't have, I guess, besides IGN, I was gonna say system, a unified agreement on where we go, because
Well, do you guys mind if I open up another can of worms then, or do we want to wrap this up fairly soon?
how big are these can of worms?
Depends how long it's going to be, really.
What do you guys feel about websites like Games Radar or Game Rankings, stuff like that?
I'm gonna
Never
look.
really paid attention,
I
so I'm
don't
going
know
to stay out of
that.
that.
Awkward
Save
moment.
that for next week. We'll check it out and we'll talk about it next week. 'Cause
Sorry,
I really-
Metacritic.
I think it's cool.
I like Metacritic because, there are a lot of different user reviews and a lot of different critic reviews. I just don't know if the average does it justice.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because, like, it's like when someone who has absolutely no idea about the game industry and how it works could give it a very low score,
Right.
skewing it completely, or maybe like a really high score for that matter, and could really skew the result. So
Naughty Bear, 10 out of 10.
like
Goat
it's
Simulator.
like the thing is, it's basically saying you equate someone who doesn't have much knowledge in the field with someone who actually has knowledge in the field. And, by averaging it, it's not a fair justification. I think I use it because I use it with a grain of salt. I look at it and say, okay, That's interesting. I may not agree with this, but I think like anything with 99 or 100, that's like, okay, yeah, that this is definitely going to be good. Or super artsy. I'm not sure which. Like,
that's so true.
like it's like I'll watch it and I'll be like, huh. All right.
Yeah.
When you put it like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's it's one of those things. Like I understand where it's coming from. It's a bit complex for me to understand. I don't think it's just my kind of film. But it's I take Metacritic with a grain of salt. Like I'll look at it and be like, okay, 70. I'll give it like a plus or minus 5 wherever the score is, unless it's like average score really high. And I always look at the critic score and the user score because I find that the user score is a much more my level casual score versus like the critics who look at in like 20 minutes into the game this character says this. What do you think that means? Is it foreshadowing to the death of their family? And it's just like, what?
Oh, their whole family? Oh my, that's sad.
Yeah, so I mean like it's that's how I view like the Metacritic scores and like rating scores in general. It's just what do you guys think about Metacritic?
I've seen its ratings on Steam. This is my second time probably ever visiting the actual site. I know Steam uses its ratings,
right?
So the ratings on Steam seem to be pretty reasonable. I'm assuming those are the same average ratings. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. I haven't really disagreed with most of them, but then again, I'm only a small subset of the population. And I'm looking at Metacritic right now as we were talking, and you are right. You should take it with a grain of salt, considering if you go to all time, that game VVVVVVV is rated higher than Dark Souls 2. And then someone who doesn't know shit about the game industry is like, okay, I'm going to spend $3 on this instead of $50 on that because it's obviously better. So you need to check your sources.
Yeah,
that's kind of what you were getting at. No, Justin?
Yeah, a bit of that, but I mean, like even for something like some indie game that's rated at like 90 versus like a AAA title rated at like 75 or something. If you're looking for like a AAA experience, it's like shouldn't it's like, oh yeah, this game's gonna be great, and it's just like a really clever puzzle game, and it's like, what the hell, I thought this game was gonna be great. And you're looking for something more than that, and I think that's the issue with most reviews nowadays, is that the generic number is always a problem, and that's why reviews are still prominent, that something needs to be said about specific games, graphically, story wise, etc.
Right.
Yeah, that's similar to like for my conclusion about reviews. It would be that you kind of have to like, same if someone was like a friend was recommending a movie or something to you, like you kind of have to understand the context what that is coming from, like either the person. I think reviews will be around for a long time, like forever. Like I think obviously it's important for a lot of people.
They have to be. I mean, like they're still around for movies,
exactly,
right? Movies are.
The idea of them going away makes no sense. And my conclusion would be, personally, throw away the scores. Take that, throw it in the trash. Just read like an adult, like a grown-up.
Hey!
Read like a grown-up.
Read. Just read.
Just read.
I'll read this.
Or watch the video review.
This.
Or watch the video review. Or watch the video review.
Can't see what that was, Evan.
It's a good comic.
It's a Batman comic.
Batman Year One.
I didn't look at
Snyder.
it fast enough. Nice.
Anyways, yeah, my conclusion is take reviews with a grain of salt, like you said, and throw away the score. Read or watch the video review.
So, that outro.
This is it. Bye, guys. Before it gets any more awkward, bye.
All right.
There.
So we'll just all wave now. That is what I've
Well, I already
decided
did.
for
Do I have to
now.
do it again?
Yes, you do.
I better be getting paid overtime for this, man.
I'm better than you guys. I'm waving twice.
I can't get my feet.
Is this when I flip you off? Nah.
All right. Farewell, everybody.